Hey, welcome to the All of You podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Siobhan Roy.
And I'm Dave Martinell.
Our relationship hasn't always been easy. Especially in the beginning, we were getting in the worst conflicts that sent us down a path of deep healing and inner work in order to get the relationship that we wanted.
So whether you're on your own healing journey or just looking to improve your relationships overall, we hope that by sharing our lessons and struggles, we help you along your way.
And with that, welcome to the podcast where we accept all of you.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Welcome. And to celebrate, we're recording a podcast.
It's kind of my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I love this.
I know you do.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's been such a fun thing to do.
Well,
and
and
to try.
I think our favorite thing to do together is sit on the couch and chat. And today we're actually filming from our couch.
Yeah, I just wanted to film on the couch.
So we're just doing our favorite thing, but on a microphone today. So if you're listening, this is your invitation to also get a little cozy today.
Yeah. Get cozy up with us and chat. Yeah, I'm 38 today.
What's it feel like to be 38?
It's odd. It feels like such a peak age, you know?
That's it. That's
it feels
peak.
like it. I still have most of my hair. I'm as wise as I'll ever be while my body...
While you still have hair.
Yeah, like exactly. Like my body is going to start to deteriorate more and more. It's begun a little bit.
Is 40 over the hill?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're almost to the top of the hill.
Yeah, but like if you were to picture like your mind and your body, like your mind is still progressing after 40. Like I'm not the wisest I'll ever be. I'll be more wise when I'm 60, unless I get some kind of disease or something. Like I'll probably still continue. My mind will keep rising up for quite some time, hopefully. But my body is going to start to go down a little bit. Like I eat, no matter how much I work out, no matter how much I progress, I'm not going to be able to take the risks with my body that I could take when I was a little younger. Maybe I could still peak shape in the next few years. Like I might still be able to increase my strength and my body could get even better in the next few years. But your mind keeps going up and your body starts going down, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of in that sweet spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at the railroad. I'm at the crossing of the mind and the body. It happens to everyone. Right? Like we all do it. Like we're all going to peak age at some point in our mind and our body. And I just think I'm getting to that. The next few years are kind of, I'll be in that pocket.
Yeah.
I gotta make the most of it.
Yeah, we better film all these episodes while you're still in the pocket.
Well, the great thing is that
I'm actually feeling good because I think my pocket, I'm a little younger, so I think I have a little bit longer of a pocket.
You do, yeah.
This is good for me.
Yeah, you haven't peaked your mind yet. Sorry.
What?
I think in the next few years, your mind will even Yeah.
I actually, as much as I don't want to agree with that, I don't think my mind is peaked yet.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it.
So I'm in that beginning stages of where my mind is peaking and my body is still like good. Like my body's not like, all right, I'm going to give it to the mind now. My body's still like, I'm still top dog, but at some point my mind will be top dog and my body will no longer be top dog. But when you're young, you're all body. You're just in your body and like you're young and your body is it's such a weird thing in life that our body is better at younger ages, but our mind becomes greater later in life.
Okay, so I'm going to take you on a weird tangent there. When we were driving yesterday, you said to me, did you worry about the future when you were younger, like in high school? And I was like, not at all. And you're like, why do we worry so much about it now? Like that we're older. And I wonder if there's a correlation there of when you're younger, you're more in your body, but you're older, you're more in your mind. And when you're like if you can follow this, when you're in your body, like that's actually the place I try to be, out of my mind, where like my fears live and my anxiety lives and like my thoughts lives, and in my body where I'm more present. Like that's the goal. Do you think there's something to that? Or is that a really weird hypothesis we should put a cork in and actually just move on to the episode?
No, I think there's something to it. And my reasoning for asking the question to you was, at what point did you really start to fear the future? And like, at what point did your mind start trying to calculate if you would be successful enough? And then we kind of came to that conclusion where you said, no, I didn't fear the future when I was young. And I was like, you just trusted your future self to figure it out. You're like, yeah. And then we came to the conclusion that having kids is really a big catapult to worrying about the future, because you feel responsible. Like you were like, well, when I was single, I could crash on a couch or rebuild my life.
Yeah. And I think that kind of speaks to my past was very nomadic in traveling, and I could get by on a shoestring budget. It was just me, and I knew how to do that. So I didn't really have to worry. And I also had a big support system. So if I really crash and burned, I could, sleep on my parents' couch and get off my feet. But wanting to provide stability for the girls has me more worried than when it was just me.
Makes sense.
So that's where my worry for the future more came in. I don't really worry about myself as much as I do providing a stable home. I think that's probably just a core value. But actually, let's jump into this week's episode. That was a whirlwind of an intro and a little taste for what our couch conversations look like.
Yesterday, you had a conviction on the yoga mat. Conviction from the mat.
Yeah, I got convicted on the mat for sure. And I know we've kind of elaborated on this a lot, but the chaos of our life right now with preparing our yard for the wedding, remodeling the house, the podcast. We are in school right now, getting certified to become coaches. We have the girls home for summer. There's so many moving parts right now. And I forgot, and planning the wedding, not just building the venue, that I have felt a lot of overwhelm and a lot of stress. And often when I get overwhelmed, subconsciously, I think that if I can just control everything, then it'll fix it. And so not so pretty, more controlling side of me comes out, where I'm like, this is how this needs to be. This is how this needs to be. And I think if I can get everything the way I need it to be, then I'll be okay. And that'll give me safety, which is like, we'll just debunk that myth. It absolutely is not how it works. But when I act that way, it's really unkind to those around me. It's not good for you. It's not good for the girls. And then, so I kind of felt that conviction come up. And then also noticed that the stress and the tension that I have has me wound really tight. And I'm not feeling like I'm showing the kindness and love towards strangers that I normally do. Like being, more kind and chatty with the woman at the nail salon, being kinder with the bank teller, whatever it is. I feel like I'm shorter and more agitated. And like, it goes into that basic principle of like, when those in pain cause pain, right? And not that I'm in pain, but my tension has me acting in a way that is not aligned with who I want to be. And so taking that time on the mat and feeling that conviction and going, oh, like nothing's worth it if I'm not acting and being who I want to be. And I needed to go in and go, what can I release? What is it that I'm trying to control that I don't need to control, that I can let go of? And what came to me on the mat was the perfect day doesn't need to be perfect. And so it was like, okay, everything in regards to the wedding doesn't really matter that much. Like, I don't need to really stress about any of it. Like, really, we're just going to like say some vows in front of people that we love. And if that happens, like that's a successful day. I can release the pressure on really every other thing. I was really trying to do this practice where I was envisioning our wedding day and just envisioning everything going wrong. Like I was envisioning that it's downpouring rain. I was envisioning that the power went out, and I was envisioning myself still being happy and joyful and content, and coming back to this place of like, yeah, it can all go wrong. And it doesn't matter because it's not really what it's about. It's really about our commitment to each other, and making that in front of those we love and celebrating our love. And I don't need anything perfect in order to do that. So that exercise for me really helped me leave the studio feeling lighter and feeling less tense and feeling like I can release some of the things I was trying to control. So that's what happened to me in class yesterday.
Yeah. We want these goals. We think we want this thing to be perfect. We attach to these thoughts and ideas, and it's a great goal. But as soon as that goal becomes so overwhelming, or we become so attached to that thought that we don't show up as the person that we want to, and we stop acting the way we want to, in trying to accomplish the goal that we want to accomplish, we lose sight of who we are, and we become somebody we don't want to become. So it got me thinking, and kind of what we wanted to get into today is this topic of success and how you show up. So if you're wanting to accomplish this great goal of a perfect wedding day, but it's causing you to get so stressed that you're not treating the small interactions well, the people you interact with in an elevator or in line or whatever, or the people that you love most, then you're not being who you want to be. And that's like the greatest trap of all time.
Yeah, I think it's that kind of somewhat corny, but very true. I don't know if it's a statement that people say of, we are not our accomplishments. We are what is said at our eulogies. And it's typically not like our career accolades or how nice our home was or anything we've done. It's who we are.
Yeah. So it's just so interesting because I think in our society, we are so accolade heavy. Like even doing this coaching certificate is just kind of hilarious to me that we're in this coaching program to get this certificate, and anyone could take this. And it doesn't say a lot about the person. Like you can learn the things, but whether you actually practice it and treat somebody well in a coaching client relationship is your character. And you can't teach good character. Like somebody has to do that internal work to have that good character. They have to connect to their heart. They have to do, I mean, there's a lot of things to have good character, but I think in our society, we're just so driven by these accolades, like, the letters behind a name, the dollars in the bank account, the car that you drive, the house that you have, the trips that you've done, where you've traveled to, the clothes you wear, and how you make others feel when you're in a room with them. I'll take that all day. Take any successful accolade away from me if I can be somebody that makes others feel seen when they're in a room with me. That's like my goal. So that's what success looks like to me.
I was just going to say, how would you define success? And is that how you would define it?
For me, success looks like achieving such a connectedness within and such a groundedness within that I'm not easily rattled by the outside circumstances around me. And therefore, when others are rattled, I can be a support system for them and like a a stabilized energy. Think of like, I don't know if this is how earthquakes work, but like success for me would to be a mountain that's so stable that I can like absorb the shock waves of the earthquakes around me and slow them down.
Yeah, I don't think that is how earthquakes work, but I really, I really like the analogy, and the analogy checks out, but not scientifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm sure there's got to be some science to it, because like if there wasn't stable ground around it, it would just continue,
I think I just want to let the viewers know that while this podcast does have a lot of psychology in it, science facts tend to be lacking. Don't listen to us for your science education.
It just makes sense. So like,
I don't think that's how earthquakes work.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to double down in the bad science.
Don't double down on. I actually don't even know what that's called. Geology.
Oh wow, we're really doing a number on ourselves.
All right, so.
But I think success looks like to me to be able to absorb kind of the shockwaves, and that's why I came to the realization that I want to be a coach, or I mean, I'd even like to go further. And if it wasn't for the schooling, I would want to pursue more of some type of mental health profession, because I just think that the mind runs so rampant, and people mental health is just so bad in our society, that being a source to calm the children in our society who have, disruptive home lives or anything, to just calm down the nervous system of those around you so that they can think more clearly and get in tune with themselves and help them get connected to themselves, is just the goal.
Yeah, I think success is defined by each individual. So what we're saying here is really the lens that we see success through. So for me, I think it's being able to feel my feelings, but not be caught up in my feelings. And I think, to carry on to your point of how that impacts kids, is it really comes down to that's how a lot of generational trauma is passed on. And so in order to heal the next generation, success for me looks like being able to handle my own emotions and not get caught up in them and harm those around me because of how I'm feeling, and not being able to sit with my own feelings. And so what that looks like is me not getting overwhelmed and yelling when the house is dirty, or telling everyone to clean up after themselves in a way that's not kind. It's taking out my stress on others, like learning how to be with, and those are just examples. But when you can learn how to feel the tension in your body, kind of what I was talking about, those convictions from the mat, when you can feel that tension and become aware of where it's coming from, and then choose to be able to feel it, release it, and act differently, then you're not passing your pain on to others. And that is ultimately helping those around you, helping your kids, and then they don't get wounded and have to go heal that when they're older. So I think for me, success is really being able to handle my feelings and emotions well, and how I respond to them, so that I can love those around me better. And those around me is including you, the girls, my family, my friends, but also people I interact with in society. I'm a big believer in the butterfly effect, and how much each interaction we have with each other impacts the next, or butterfly effect, domino effect, whatever you want to call it. But I think success is, when I'm older, my eulogy saying that I loved well, and that I was good to those around me, and I was emotionally mature, emotionally regulated. I think that's what I would want said about me. And not just said about me, but in order to have it said about me, I actually have to be that person. And I have to actually live that out, which, circling back to earlier, is why having a practice of whether that's yoga, meditation, mindfulness, whatever it is, where you're taking that time to go inward, for me is so helpful, because I have to take that time to kind of check in with myself and go, who are you being lately? Are you being the person you want to be? Are you making the decisions she would make? Are you treating people how she would want to treat people? Because in order to hit my version of success, I actually have to be doing all those things. And so the practice of checking in with myself, it's almost like back at work when you'd have your reviews, like you'd have your quarterly reviews with your boss and they tell you how you're doing. It's like I almost give myself weekly reviews where I check in and go, how you doing? You being the girl you want to be, or are you like off base? And like it's like self accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we can easily get caught up. Like, I mean, I think we both got caught up a little bit in our own way. You more in the wedding planning and me more in the house planning and the projects around the house. Ryan said it today on a call we were with, like, your cousin. He was like, good on you guys for like kind of checking yourselves and being able to get back to a good state of mind, because that's the key. Like we used to maybe run rampant for a little while, or go and drink, or get in a huge fight, or who knows, like just what we would do to cope, you know? And so being able to go, I'm off. This happened. This whole sand thing's been such a disaster for me, because I like went down the rabbit hole of what's the best polymetric sand to use in between flagstone joints. And had to order it from a place in Pennsylvania to ship it here. And I don't know why I got so caught up in it, you know?
This is a really weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, but
I mean, we all have our vices, but of rabbit holes we fall into. Mine are more like probably fashion and shopping oriented, but
yeah, because I was putting so much pressure on myself on this project, you know? And I think if I'm just being honest, I got to a point where I wasn't pleased with my work on it. And so I was looking to use the best sand to kind of like counter, like you're always looking to like make up, or I have some insecurity that I'm making up for here. And so doing that was a way to justify, like it all made sense in my head, and it wasn't much more expensive, but it ended up being like the same price as the one on Amazon. So it was, you know, why not go for the good one? But like researching isn't bad, but it's, where is it coming from? Where is this place that it's coming from? It's coming from this lack. It's coming from this insecurity. It's coming from this rushing and desire to be better than I am. I'm not a landscape architect. I'm not a professional landscaper. I'm a DIYer. So, you know, I kind of just struggled through that. And then when it didn't go well and I didn't order enough, it all fell apart. Like it was already an insecurity. There was already a struggle happening within me. And then it like just highlighted that when it didn't go well.
Wait, okay. So now I didn't know that. So now that you say that, I'm curious, because we had a few people come and quote the cost to put turf in. And one of the companies that came and quoted it completely dissed your flagstone work. And then his daughter, who's like the assistant, was like, well, if your wedding's in October, it'll probably last until then. Like they fully dissed it. Did that hurt you at all?
No.
To be honest, I felt tension. Like I have a very big loyalty trigger. Like if
you were more bothered by that than I was.
I was so bothered by that.
No,
I was
it
like,
doesn't bother me.
And I know that it's a trigger of mine, so I didn't say anything, and it was kind and polite. But inside of me, I wanted to be like, how dare you diss his Blackstone work? He's been out here slaving. Like,
I'm not a
it looks
perfectionist
great.
with house projects.
Well,
I mean,
but
as
it's
you
not
can
about that. For
clearly.
yeah, but my trigger is like, don't you dare diss like anyone I loves anything.
His way of dissing it was to say that it should have had been excavated, and like it wasn't. He wasn't right. Like, he didn't know the project, and he wasn't looking at what I was doing. I was matching currently existing flagstone that was already there that had been like, and I wasn't going to pull it all up. So he didn't. I could have gotten into it with him, but he was here to do the turf, not the flagstone. So,
well, I'm glad
that
that didn't hurt you.
No,
but it definitely.
No, I don't really get too hurt by other people's opinions of the work. I'm more critical of myself, I'd say. Like, if somebody dissed this podcast and was like, you should use different cameras, or why'd you use those cameras, or why'd you film in this way and not in this way, or, like, I put so much thought into the projects that I do that I know why I did them. And usually if I felt like I could outsource it, I would. But I don't. I like to learn things. So some things I like to do myself. Like, I don't just do things for myself sometimes because I can't afford somebody to do it. Sometimes I do things for myself because I want to go through the pain of learning it. Like, we could hire somebody to come and film this podcast for us and edit it. I wanted to learn video editing, and I knew I was going to suck at it at first, but how do you learn it if you don't do it? And I've learned so many skills throughout the years that now, because I wasn't at a point where, like, I don't always know if I'm going to like things or not like things. So you have to try. And so learning new skills to learn them and see if you like them and see if it fits your vibe, and you're like, I don't know, if it sparks your creativity. It's just a way that I kind of do life. Like, my way of doing life is trying things and deciding if I like it or I don't like it. Sometimes I pick something up and I master it and I get really good at it, and then I put it down because I don't like it. I do that quite often, I would say, in my life, because you're trying new things, and I think it's really cool to put that down. But I also think it's really cool to give that skill to allow others to come in and do it. But I wanted to do the flagstone. I just wanted to. If it doesn't last forever and I didn't use enough, base underneath it to help, and it shifts on me a bit, like, I'll have it redone later. I honestly don't know how long we're going to keep it. So I didn't want to spend the money on doing it because I thought we have some other plans with the house. And so it was kind of like, it wasn't temporary, but I'm like, this might be like here for 5 years, but it's not like the end game kind of thing. So you're always playing this game with your projects of like, how important is this to me? And people that come in and try to assume how important it is to me, they're missing the point. Like, they just don't. If you want to, it's like when we first got quotes for the concrete, and the guy came in and gave us somebody gave us like an enormous quote that was like 3 times the cost, and was like, this concrete will last you forever. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll live here forever. like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get your buyer. So if you're selling, like, know who you're selling to, because not everyone has the same goal in mind. Like, some people are trying to do it good, not great, because they want to get more done, and they don't know if they're gonna stay in the house forever and be, parking an RV on it. Like, everyone has different needs.
Mm. Well, and I actually think that's the case. That's the sales case I would make for self-awareness. Awareness in general is, and I think this is a very odd tangent we just got on, but if you don't know yourself, if you don't have self-awareness, you don't know how to meet your own needs or make aligned decisions with what you want from life. And you actually don't know who you even want to become because you don't have the awareness. And then you don't have the awareness of how to even get there. So, or to even take a step further, thinking of like the landscaping guy who's trying to sell to you, but doesn't know anything about you. I look at that the same way as when you're coaching people. You can't assume how someone thinks, because if you're making an assumption of how they think or why they think a certain way, or assuming what they need without actually going in and asking them to find that out internally, you can't guide someone. And I think it's a fun concept for me to think through just because of my sales background, is like actually getting to know yourself or know the person you're speaking to is really the only way to have a helpful conversation, or in this case, make a sale.
Yeah. Like, and this is kind of, I would say this isn't even a tangent. It's really related to the topic of success, because if we want to be successful in our life by accomplishing these goals, a lot of people think success and they think money. So you want more money. Okay. How are you going to get more money if you don't work with people well?
Right. Well, I think I've seen time and time again in my career, the promotion never went to the smartest person in the room. It went to the most liked person in the room that had good relationships with everyone.
Yeah. Having emotional maturity, which is kind of similar to self-awareness, I would say, to me, they're like kind of one and the same, will help you work better with others, collaborate better with others, and then ultimately will lead you to more success. Sometimes it might force you to actually take a step back though. So like if you're on your way to success without good awareness, it might actually call you to make a U-turn and go backtrack a little bit, but then ultimately it's going to lead you further down the road. So because you might be on the wrong path. And if you're on the wrong path for a while towards what looks like success, but it's the wrong path, you're going to have to self-abandon. You're going to have to mute your personality or go against your intuition and fulfill some, narcissistic boss's desires for you or whatever. You're going to have to step outside of your convictions to maybe get success. So self-awareness might make you backtrack. It might make you go back to square zero, like just level one, because you've been going down the wrong path for a while. But ultimately, it's going to take you further down the road because you're not going to have your anxiety. You're not going to have your stress. You're going to have your peace. And if you can have success and your peace, that's what success is peace.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it's harder the further down the wrong road you go. Like for us, it's pretty hard
to like turn around.
Yeah. For us, it's a little difficult. We had higher earning capabilities in industries that weren't aligned with our intuition. So our intuition.
The most money I ever made was selling something that I felt terrible about selling.
Yep. So our intuition stopped us and forced us to make $0 and figure out, oh wait, we can survive for a little bit and halt and completely U-turn, backtrack, and take risks. But I still believe that it will lead us to more success in the long run. Because when you follow your intuition, you're doing the right thing, and I'll ride with that all day.
I'll ride with you.
Scary though. Like if you have kids and your job is keeping you from your kids all the time, and that is just burning inside of you, your intuition is saying, quit your job and pivot. Yeah. Go find a career that more aligns. And you're like, but I can't because how am I going to afford to live? And it might not be possible for you, But your intuition saying, it's time to come up with a plan. This is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to come up with something. I got to come up with a plan. I gotta reroute. And maybe you have to go through a harder season to get there. Like maybe you have to not spend as much time with your kids while you're going to school at night to ultimately pivot into a different career that supports it. But like you're capable of figuring it out, and it's
our
tough.
Fear tells us we're not capable of it, and that it's not possible, and that we're stuck. Our fear lies to us to keep us where we are.
Yeah. Well, and our ego also keeps us stuck. Like, I'm not going to sell my truck. Like,
what are people going to think if I pull up in this
old Honda?
Yeah.
I can't not go on that trip with like all my friends are going, or I'm not, like, I can't, not travel for years. I can't not go to my friend's wedding that's in this other, place. It's like, well, what's important to you? I don't know. Like nobody knows. Nobody can answer the questions for you, but sometimes, you have to sacrifice to follow your intuition, but ultimately following that intuition and having that peace is just true success.
I wish I would have known that earlier.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like I've gone down the wrong road so far. I've had to make so many U-turns in life.
Yeah.
I'm such the king of making U-turns that I actually will make a U-turn on a dime now.
Yeah, like that is accurate.
If all of a sudden I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh shoot, I just had an epiphany and I've been taking this route too long, or I need to adjust a little bit. Like I just do it because I don't even want to spend 1 second further going down the wrong path. And I will go down the wrong path. We could be going slightly down the wrong path right now.
100%. We don't know for sure.
It's not about making sure, because that's analysis by paralysis. It's like, it's not about making sure you're on the right path all the time, but it's about as soon as you're on the wrong road, turn around. You tried that. It didn't work. It didn't fit. Pick up that hobby, pick up that thing, join that club. And then as soon as it's not really for you, move on.
Yeah. I'm sitting here right now and thinking of our listeners and just like imagining someone hearing this and feeling that feeling in them of, I'm not on the right path. Like they can feel their intuition and going, but no, I can't change it. Like it's too hard. No. And they're resisting it. And
what comfort would you give them?
Well, I don't think I have comfort to give you because
cold-blooded.
Well, the only comfort that I think the only comfort I can give is I've been there. It's hard. Like I can acknowledge that feeling is hard to sit with. But I actually think I would encourage them to sit with the discomfort, sit with those feelings, listen to your intuition. And if it's screaming loud enough, start making changes. If you're too scared to make changes, get some help. If your intuition is screaming at you right now, start turning the wheel. Start making the U-turn. It only gets harder the further down the road you go. You have to backtrack more. So if you were listening to this and your intuition is like, something's up, something's off, I'm not on the right road, but you don't even know how to get on the right road or where to start, where to begin, get some help. I mean, I feel like if anyone, that would be something you would preach.
Yeah, but I can also give some comfort from my experience.
I'm glad one of us can be the comforter
today. Yeah. Well, I think what you said is right, and I think that's not what would have been my approach, and I appreciate your approach with it, which is sitting with those feelings and not rejecting those feelings, but accepting that those are your feelings and they're valid, and that it's hard. You're maybe going through a hard time, or you're not in the right place that you want to be, and all those things, right? That's nothing to fight with. That's something to accept. So I appreciate that side of the coin. And I think the other side of the coin is life is really long. So a lot of people say life is so short, but that's not abundance mentality. That's fear based to me. Like life is long and years are long. And in the course of 3 years, you could completely change the rest of your life. That's not so bad, right? So like if you are stuck, you can make small changes that over time will completely reroute you. Read the book Atomic Habits. Do those small habits daily. They will eventually change your life, and trust the process. Don't act in fear. So what my comfort would be is you don't have to make a decision today. You don't have to know the end game. You don't have to know step 5. You don't even have to know step 1 yet. You just have to know you want to make a change and sit with that. Don't let that small voice, don't mute that small inner voice. Just accept it and let it talk to you. And then be vigilant and watch for the opportunities. Create space for that small voice to speak to you and your intuition to speak up. So meditating, having a practice of some kind that gives yourself space to listen to your inner being. And I'm reading this book, listening to it right now, the Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. And he talks about being creative isn't going and creating something necessarily. It is making space for the creativity that's already within you to come up. We are all creative. Creating something is bringing something from your imagination to the physical world. So you are having a feeling like you want to change your job, or change your relationship, or change how you're parenting your kids, or change your diet. That's creative. You want to create a new lifestyle for yourself in some way. Listen to that. Create space for that voice to come up and channel within you, like how you're going to do that. Don't go online and buy an exorbitant amount of new foods that you don't think you're even going to like, or your kids aren't going to like. Like all of a sudden you get convicted about how many people have done this? All of a sudden you get convicted over your kid's diet, and then you completely change your refrigerator and they don't like anything in the fridge and they get mad. And then all of a sudden the plan didn't work. So small things, introduce, like play the long game with your changes. The greatest successes I've ever had in my life have been long game successes. Our relationship has been a massive one. This is the most patient I've ever been. I've never been more patient than anything inside of our relationship, because it's playing the long game and knowing like we're not who we want to be today, but I see that we are becoming that slowly, and it's taking forever. And yes, I'm impatient, and I was the most impatient person on this planet. If I wanted something, I would scour, I would fight, tooth and nail, to try to get that thing. I've bought in trucks. I've bought in so many trucks out of all of a sudden I see it on the road and now I get stuck in my mind and then I want to buy it. I've like motorcycles as well, or I want because I want to be this person that I'm not, or I think it's going to say something about me or whatever. So play the long game. Like the greatest successes I've had in my life have been raising the girls, and that just takes so much time, small little things, our relationship, this house, being really patient, like buying this house when I had no money to put into it, just knowing that it's a long investment. So getting really patient is comforting, I think, in a way of like, you don't have to make a decision today. You don't have to go buy the new diet. Just make one little change. Maybe start reading about diet. maybe start listening to a podcast around diet or your kid's diet. Or the reason I can give comfort to somebody like that is because when I have that creativity spark, I want to go create it right now. Like if I want to change something, if I want to do it, like let's go right now, start a podcast, start recording. It's like, let it marinate and let it sink in and let it manifest, and be patient with your inner world. Success is not in the physical world. It's in the inner being of becoming that peaceful person. Because if you're craving it so bad and then you get it, are you even going to be happy?
Well, and cravings are really an indicator that something's off.
Yeah.
Because you're not, it's a lack of contentment, which therefore is you don't feel at peace. So cravings, I think for me, are always a red flag when I start to crave that, okay, I need to dig into that more. Why am I craving this? Where is this coming from? But
yeah, and I can feel, we're in the middle of it. So we're not people who have this insane amount of success. We kind of just started over our lives, and so it's like, why would I listen to these people? They just did it. But the rewards internally for listening to that small voice and trusting, I might not have the physical success yet in these decisions that we've made, but I have all the success inside. Like my peace is abundant these days, and I just couldn't be happier. I could have $10 million sitting in the bank account, and I don't think it would change one thing about how I feel. And that is just different. You just show up differently when you have that attitude.
completely agree. This is fun.
Yeah, it was.
All right. I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.